Hello everybody, this is BT Poe. Welcome back to another instance of me going over videos in post-commentary format. If you like these videos, leave a like, leave a comment. Yeah, I know, I'm being that way. I gotta build an audience somehow. Anyway, let's get on to our first match of this video. It's against someone by the name of Mark. I battled him on BattleSpot last week. Because last week I was doing a bunch of battles to prep for this certain situation. But anyway, let's get this match started. It leads off with the Tyranitar and Salamence. When I looked into the team preview for this video, I saw the Tyranitar and Excadrill, and I expected him to lead with the Tyranitar and Excadrill both. So I was kind of weirded out by the fact that he led with Tyranitar and not Excadrill, because I didn't have any instance of any other kind of weather on this team. So I kind of figured that Excadrill was a pretty safe lead for him, since there was no way for me to get rid of the sand. Unless he thought I had Sunny Day or Rain Dance on Sableye. Anyway, I used Fake Out on Salamence because Salamence is always a threat to me, honestly. Tyranitar uses Ice Punch on Celesteela. Maybe he was expecting a switch into Landorus, which would not be too strange a concept to me, honestly. And I believe with Sableye, I decided to use Will-O-Wisp on the Salamence. Alright, let's find out, because Leech Seed Celesteela is the best Celesteela. There is no contest. So you have to run Leech Seed somewhere on there. He decides to switch out the Salamence, get rid of that Leech Seed into Rotom, of all things. Makes sense. Makes sense. So I used Will-O-Wisp on the Salamence because I was afraid of potential double edges. Because my Celesteela takes any special offensive moves really, really well. And I believe I used Leech Seed on the Tyranitar. Yep, there we go. Because that Ice Punch really is not doing too much to Celesteela. With that Leftovers Recovery and Leech Seed, the Ice Punch is just doing very minimal damage. And I think Heavy Slammer 2 will do in the Tyranitar quite nicely. But I'm pretty sure for this next turn, I expected the Tyranitar to swap out to get rid of the Leech Seed. So I just went for Protect on the Celesteela because I knew that Rotom was going to attack into me, and I just went for Leer to weaken the Rotom for any future attacks. Because with Celesteela being at -1 attack, that Heavy Slam is not going to be doing too much anytime soon, even with the very great weight difference between Rotom and Celesteela. Especially since Water-type Pokemon resist Steel-type moves. That certainly does not help. And I knew that Leer would not affect the Tyranitar because I'm steadily beginning to remember that Prankster does not affect Dark types. Don't worry. So I believe it was this turn that I then expected the Tyranitar to get swapped out. And I just went for another Leer. And I believe I actually went for a Heavy Slam onto the Rotom, since Rotom now has -2. I'm not sure why he decided to go for a Hydro Pump of all things. Oh no, I went for a Leech Seed on the Rotom. Okay, at this point I'm just playing the stall game. Because I knew that if both my opponent's Pokemon were to get to below a very certain point when it comes to health, Celesteela could then take it out with a Heavy Slam and get the special defense boost, and it would pretty much be all set for later on. Because on this Celesteela, I also have Iron Defense. And with Iron Defense, that Tyranitar is going to be doing absolutely nothing. So I decided to Protect with the Celesteela to just stall out the Pokemon. Sadly, Salamence dodges the Will-O-Wisp, and Sableye gets knocked out by a Double Edge. So that was very unfortunate. I was kind of salty at that, not gonna lie. Hydro Pump goes into Celesteela. I don't know why this Rotom's not going for any Electric-type moves. Because you never really see a Rotom without some kind of Electric-type move. Okay, and the Rotom seems to have a Citrus Berry. I didn't remember that for the battle, but, you know, the Citrus Berry doesn't really seem to be doing much, though, with the Leech Seed and burn damage, though. So I bring in Lopunny, and I think with Lopunny I went for a straight Ice Punch, because Ice Punch would just be knocking out Salamence straight away at any kind of damage. Or maybe I went for the Fake Out. Honestly, this battle happened like last week, so I don't exactly remember what happened. So I decided to Mega Evolve with Lopunny. Pretty easy play there. Like, why would I not? There's no reason for me not to Mega Evolve Lopunny. And I went for the Ice Punch into the Salamence slot. Tyranitar takes plenty of damage, and I just double attacked into the Salamence slot. And sadly, Tyranitar lives the Heavy Slam because of the -1 on the attack. Thankfully, Celesteela gets some more chip damage off on the Rotom, so it's becoming less and less of a threat. You know, I'm pretty sure I expected the Tyranitar to protect, so I just swapped out Lopunny to bring in Landorus and to just get the -1 on the attacks. Well, mostly on the attack of the Tyranitar, because Rotom doesn't need it, obviously. Okay, and I just protected with the Celesteela, expecting an Electric-type attack from the Rotom eventually. Tyranitar went for Superpower onto the Lopunny slot, which does not affect the Landorus all that much. And Rotom finally goes for a Thunderbolt, but into the Lopunny slot. I'm not sure why my opponent is not attacking the Celesteela with the Electric-type move. Maybe he keeps expecting the switch into the Landorus from the Celesteela slot. Really makes no sense to me. So Rock Slide gets a clean knockout on both Pokemon. This entire match so far was just me slowly chipping away my opponent's Pokemon so that I could eventually get a knockout with something. And this turn, it all played out very nicely. I got a double knockout. And finally, my opponent brings in the Excadrill. This whole match, while playing it, I distinctly remember wondering, did he even bring in the Excadrill to this match? And finally, I see that he actually did. And I was kind of thinking to myself, why didn't he bring it in earlier? And I don't know, it was a really weird turn of events, because to my knowledge, I believe the Sandstorm is gonna come down soon. And I get a nice Leech Seed on the Excadrill, and both my opponent's Pokemon aren't really gonna be doing anything. So I believe I'm about to bring in Lopunny, because that's the last Pokemon that I got since Landorus and Sableye are both down. And I just went for a quick Fake Out onto the Salamence to get rid of it. Have absolutely zero chance of it attacking anymore, because I knew Excadrill would not be able to do anything to the Celesteela. So I believe I went for an Iron Defense. There it is. With that Iron Defense up, Excadrill has no chance of knocking out Celesteela, especially with that Leech Seed up. And now with the Sandstorm subsiding, that Excadrill has absolutely no chance, especially because Lopunny is about to knock it out. Assuming that... I was thinking to myself, assuming I don't miss the high jump kick. Which I did not. So thankfully, we won that battle. I know I've been showing a bunch of battles where I won, but... well, don't worry. I'll be showing battles where I lose soon enough. Don't you worry. I'm not that good. Alright, this is the last battle that I've done on BattleSpot. Like I said, I've been kind of lazy, so I've been... I did this battle like last week. So let's just get right into it. It's a name that I cannot pronounce because I did this at like... I think it was like very late at night. 8 or 10 p.m. Somewhere around midnight, I guess. So that's where people on the other side of the world are up, and people on my side of the world, not so much. So my opponent leads with Tapu Bulu and Nihilego, and I lead with Naganadel and Lopunny. Tapu Bulu having very little chance of moving if it stays on the field against Naganadel. And I believe I went for a Fake Out onto the Nihilego, fully expecting the swap. So there is the Mega Evolution from my Lopunny. And there's the Fake Out onto the Nihilego, of course. And then I set up a Tailwind, fully expecting the Tapu Bulu to swap out. It's unfortunate that my opponent decided to bring Heatran, because my Naganadel could do absolutely nothing to Heatran. So I decided to swap out Naganadel in favor of Landorus. Because even with the grassy terrain, an Earthquake would still do plenty of damage. I believe I went for a high jump kick into the Heatran slot. Or the Nihilego. Okay. I knew that wasn't going to knock out with the defense boost from the grassy seed, but it was still going to do plenty. And thankfully, my opponent decided to double into the Naganadel slot, even though an Earth Power from Heatran probably would have knocked out pretty easily. And I expected my opponent to just go for the Landorus once more. And I don't know if I expected the Protect from the Nihilego. Oh, yeah, my opponent went for a double Protect. Okay, I think I just went for a high jump kick, so that was unfortunate. So my Lopunny takes a lot of damage from that, but thankfully with my opponent's grassy terrain, I get a little bit of health back. So another high jump kick miss would not knock me out. My opponent swaps out Heatran in favor of Tapu Bulu, which is fine with me, honestly, because Celesteela can knock it out pretty easily. I believe I went for the Heatran slot. Yep. That still did plenty of damage to the Tapu Bulu. So my Nihilego decided to attack into the Celesteela, not doing much because my Celesteela is especially bulky. And Heavy Slam just knocks out Nihilego pretty easily. Nihilego does not take Heavy Slams that well. That crit did not matter. Celesteela is getting a nice special defense beast boost. Although I think at this point it only really matters against the Heatran. I'm honestly surprised that my opponent did not decide to swap in the Heatran. Okay, the Tailwind goes away. Don't think it really mattered all that much there. My opponent brings in a Gyarados. Now, at this stage of the game, I was thinking this Gyarados is probably a Mega Gyarados. So I swapped out Lopunny because that Intimidate was not doing me any favors. I bring in Landorus to get the Intimidate on both my opponent's Pokemon that rely heavily on physical offense. The Gyarados decides to protect, and my opponent does not Mega Evolve it. So at this stage of the game, I'm not entirely sure if it's a Mega. And I believe I went for a Leech Seed onto... Oh no, I just went for a straight Iron Defense. Okay. So now both my opponent's Pokemon can't really do much to Celesteela in general. And I believe for this next turn, I had Landorus... I think I had Landorus swap out. No, I went for a Rock Slide, I believe. Because I knew that my opponent was going to swap out Bulu with the grassy terrain gone. Yep, I went for a Rock Slide, getting some nice damage on the Gyarados, and mostly hoping for a flinch. And I believe I went for a Leech Seed onto the Gyarados slot. Okay, that's a knockout on the Landorus, yep. I was fully intending to just scrap Landorus at that point in the game. You get a nice Leech Seed off on the Celesteela, from Celesteela onto the Gyarados, and get some nice leftovers and Leech Seed recovery to just top me off right there. I wasn't too scared of the Heatran here, especially with Lopunny on the field, because Heatran is very especially offensive, but Celesteela does have a special defense boost, so I wasn't too worried about that. I believe I went for a Heavy Slam onto the Gyarados slot, actually. You know what? I think I might have just doubled into the Gyarados slot at that point. Fake out onto the Gyarados slot, yep. And Heavy Slam onto the Gyarados. So that Bulu is going down. Or at least it's getting close, yeah. Oh, that was a Pinch Berry, I believe. Yep. Bring it to some nice damage, but I believe at that point, at that level of health, Celesteela knocks it out anyway? Or at least it... I honestly don't remember. But I swap out Lopunny in favor of Naganadel. Because I was like, okay, I'm done with this Bulu. I wanted to just get out of here. My opponent swaps out in favor of Gyarados again to get another Intimidate off. Oh, okay. I remember now. The reason that I didn't get a knockout on the Bulu was because of the Intimidate initially. So my opponent goes for... Oh, this was a very fun part. Z Solar Beam into the Lopunny slot. And I was just thinking to myself, wow, this is going to be doing almost nothing. Because it went into the Naganadel. Naganadel doubly resists. It has a ×4 resistance to grass. So, of all the Z moves to have on a Heatran, okay, with the grassy terrain, that still did plenty of damage. But Heavy Slam is doing negligible amounts of damage at this point. So I believe with Naganadel, I went for Either a Tailwind or a Sludge Bomb. Okay, I went Protect. Okay. I suppose I was expecting the Heatran to go for an Earth Power. And, yeah, okay. It was pretty obvious at that point that the Gyarados was going to go for a Protect and an Earth Power to get rid of the Naganadel, because Naganadel's a threat, obviously. And I think at this point, I decided to use Sludge Bomb into the Gyarados slot. Because Celesteela, like, oh, no, my opponent just forfeited. Right. I forgot about that. My opponent apparently thought, you know what, I'm not going to be able to take out the Celesteela, so it's pretty much just game here. Yeah, at that point, though, I was just planning on having Naganadel use a Sludge Bomb into the Gyarados slot. If my opponent would either have about 3 choices. Leave the Gyarados in and get knocked out by the Sludge Bomb. Bring the Tapu Bulu in and get knocked out. Or go for the Double Protect. All 3 choices were not exactly very good ones. So I suppose my opponent just thought, you know what, there's no real... There's very small chances of me coming back from this. I'm just going to surrender. So, anyway, that's good for this set of battles. Hope you all enjoyed it. If you guys liked this video, be sure to like, comment, let me know how I'm doing. I know I'm a little bit on the stuttery side, but I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you. Have a good day.